guys, welcome to The Real Deal. It's Seth.
Chris.
And Logan.
So we are doing TIFF 2021 digitally this year. Never gone to TIFF. Still never gone to TIFF in person. But it's my favorite film festival, I think. So we're going to be reviewing and dropping these as soon as we watch them. It's a little bit different for us.
Fresh off of watching them. Like legit. We haven't even talked anything about this yet.
Yeah, don't know that we get to prepare as much as usual. But, okay, so the first movie we saw is Mothering Sunday. It's directed by Eva Husson. She's a French filmmaker from France.
Good one.
Yeah. We're drinking, it's late.
Yeah.
But, okay, so this film is set in the 20s, and it follows, this is like post-World War I.
Yep.
When's World War, that's the 30s?
World War II was 40s, I think.
Oh, okay.
42? Yep.
Post-World War I, it's like 1924, and it follows this, what was the main character's name?
Jane Fairchild.
It's a good thing I forgot her name. Probably a good sign.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So it follows Jane Fairchild. She works in rich people's homes.
Yeah, she's a servant. She's a Downton Abbey character.
Mm-hmm. This is 50 Shades of Downton.
Yes, it is.
This movie is raunchy.
Very.
Well, maybe not raunchy, but it is very...
There's a lot of sex. Like,
I don't know that there's a lot of sex.
There's a lot of nudity.
Yeah. I mean, there's quite a bit of sex.
When I saw the description, it said graphic nudity, and I just kind of made a joke. I'm like, maybe we'll see a penis, is what I was thinking, and that's why it says graphic. Oh my god, it was so much.
A lot of nudity.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, I think around half of it was nude.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of it was nude. It was wild.
What's her name? Odessa Young is nude for at least 60% of the movie, for sure. Yeah. But it's not... Okay, let me explain it first. So it follows Odessa Young's character, Jane, and she works for this rich family, the Nevins, and basically it's just her having an affair with he's not a nobleman, because that's not a thing anymore, but like he's of higher status than she is.
Yeah. And
it's kind of like a secret torrid affair. And so that sounds simple, but it's got like 4 different timelines going on, and it's like her older self writing the story, but it doesn't really tell you that's what's going on. So like the first 45 minutes, you're like, I watched 40 minutes of this and I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
It's based off a book of the same name, and basically it's just this like lucid recounting of first love and like sexual experience and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't entirely work.
Yeah. So a lot of I had a lot of problems with the structure and pacing, because you have no idea what the fuck is happening or when, like a lot of the time, because it cuts back and forth between the different timelines that it has. It has like 3 or 4 different timelines of what this woman is experiencing in her life. And it's like some of it is told through memories, some of it is told like it's in a current timeline, present type thing.
Some of it's exposition.
Yeah, it's weird, and you don't really know what's what. You know, it doesn't have any way of differentiating what's a memory, what's the present timeline thing that's happening, when we are. It's really confusing. Like it's hard to follow just the main narrative in general, just because it's so all over the place. And that wouldn't be so much of a problem if it weren't for the pacing, because the pacing really drags it out, and you're confused, and that would be okay if you could get through the plot quicker, because then you could have more of like a tight structure in your mind, and you could think, okay, this is the general line of what's happening. But with the pacing being so slow and just like loose, you're just lost. I feel like you're just swimming in it most of the time. You have no idea when or where we are, or what's happening. It's a really I think it's going for more like a vibe piece and emotions more than anything.
For sure.
And it's trying to get you to feel certain things, which it definitely goes for that. But I don't think we are probably the intended audience for that.
I disagree. Well, for me at least.
Yeah, I don't think I am. I don't think I'm the intended audience, and that's totally fine. I think this will probably work for a lot of people as like a vibe piece and conveying emotions and that type of thing. But yeah, I don't think it's for me specifically, and that's totally fine.
I'm always down for like a languid, sensual film. Like Kong by
This
Name is my favorite. Normal
is
People is my favorite TV show last year. But there's just like a bit of incoherence to the structure and like how it's formatted. It's really, really well directed, Like it's beautiful to look at the whole time. Like,
gorgeous. The cinematography is incredible.
And the acting is fantastic. And you have people pop up like Olivia Colman and Colin Firth that don't get enough to do at all. They both get one good scene each.
Yeah,
they're barely in it.
Yeah, they're like top billed too. Like
Yeah.
this is starring Olivia Colman and Colin Firth, and I was going in like expecting that, and this is not at all their movie. They are hardly in it.
I was actually thinking, I was surprised they even took these parts, because I'm like, they really don't have anything to do in this movie. Like,
They do get
they get
good
some,
scene.
but even that, it's like, I'm surprised that actors of that caliber were in this movie. Not that the movie's necessarily that bad, it's just they didn't really have anything to do.
Considering the parts that they had, I do think Colin Firth had more to do.
Yeah,
and
right.
his stuff was good. I really liked a lot of his stuff, and I thought a lot of the emotional weight from he was a very good pick from this because a lot of actors would not be able to do that.
Yeah.
He has acting chops,
And he's
so
a chameleon a lot of the times.
he is able to do that stuff. And a lot of actors would not have been able to pull it off like he did. I think he was probably my favorite performance, I would say. Trying to think of others, but I think he's my favorite performance.
I like Olivia Colman in this. I mean, she's in.
Shocker.
It's weird because she, like, I disagree. Like, I think that I understand why they take parts like this because, like, you don't have to be the main star of every movie you're in, but she gets stuff to do when she's on screen. But for the longest time, like, it barely showed her. Like, she was kind of like just a fixture in like the right hand corner of the screen or something. So I was a little pissed. I'm like, how? At first, I was like, why is she in this? But then she gets a scene later on, and you're like, okay, well, she's here for this to happen and this conversation to happen with this character. But yeah,
I was gonna ask, do we know when? Because this is based off a book. You may have said that already. Do we know when the book came out? Is it like an old book?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no
Just
idea.
because to me the story felt really derivative. Like it's nothing new. It felt so been done before.
I mean,
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, but I don't think that the story was like the goal in telling a new story. I think this is much more about conveying like feelings and emotions, and also just like mortality in general, and going through and reflecting back on experiences. So I think it's supposed to more make you consider like what you've gone through in your own experiences as opposed to what's happening in this specific one. And I also think that's why everything was so loose, because like I said, I think it's more trying to get you to feel things and to feel what's happening, and think about what's happening with you as opposed to what's happening with them. I think they're like they're a vehicle for getting you to feel things with that, to remember things with you.
I'm drawing comparisons to Blue Bayou because Logan and I watched it last night, and I was on board for like the first act of the film, and this one's different because it just had me curious at the beginning because it's so slow and I don't know what's going on, and I typically like that in movies because I feel like I always know what's going on, so it was nice. It was refreshing at first, but then it doesn't pay off. And just like Blue Bayou, when you get towards the end of the film, like especially the third act, it just does all these stupid things, and it like tries to make you feel something, and it like pulls at your heartstrings, or it attempts to, but it just doesn't work. It just falls flat because you don't care.
Yeah,
It's
because
almost a little comical. Like, oh yeah,
I laughed in Blue Bayou last night.
like, oh, that happened. Yeah, okay, of course it did.
yeah.
You laughed in this.
I
the end.
I laughed in this a couple times because the ending like parts were just so they were just kind of silly and dumb.
Yeah.
Like that ending part with the horse,
Yeah.
like that was weird.
It's like
but
going
yeah,
for the nest, but does not land it.
I think it does try to pull at heartstrings, but this is not the type of movie that should be trying to do that because that's not what this is.
Yeah.
A movie that would do that is one that gets you heavily invested in its characters and its plot, and this obviously isn't going for that with
Because
how
it
loose
keeps
everything
the characters at arm's length.
Yeah, it doesn't get you invested in the characters, so when it tries to pull at your heartstrings with stuff happening, it doesn't pay off because it's like we don't know them. We don't feel that way about these characters because you didn't structure the narrative that way.
And then it flashes forward at the end, and it's goofy, like the stuff that happens. It's like totally different.
Yeah. And speaking of tonally different, that reminds me, the music is really fucking great.
Yeah.
I loved the music throughout like all of the movie, even the how different it got in the end, which is why I remembered with tonally different. The music totally changes tone and vibe and even stylistic choices towards the end. But even that I loved. The music was amazing. It was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. And like their chemistry is great with each other, and it's like we said, it's a very sensual movie, and like
Very
it
sensual.
gives that, like, you know that immediately with like close-ups on mouths and eyes and like stuff like that with each other.
Yeah.
And like there is quite a bit of sex, but it's not gratuitous or gross.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's made by a female director, and
Yeah,
like it's not
seriously.
like
Yeah.
from the male gaze or anything like that.
Yeah, which I appreciate because especially in movies that have a lot of nudity, we always see women nude a lot more than we see men nude, and we see both in this, like quite a bit. We see both men
Yeah.
and women fully nude.
Still too much, I think, but
It was a lot. It was a lot. I feel like I'm someone who's pretty open and accepting of nudity. But even for me, I'm like, this is a lot of nudity.
Yeah. Just by the end, like it would just randomly cut back to it, and I'm like, all right,
there's
no point.
there's an ass.
Yeah, but overall, I think the movie has a lot of good ideas, and I think I'm always attracted to the idea of like reminiscing on like past loves and stuff like that, especially like in maybe like a sensual manner or something. But this film doesn't necessarily do that genre justice, and it just left me kind of disappointed. So
Yeah,
I don't know that I recommend it, but it's so beautiful, and
See,
the performances are great, so it's hard.
I feel like this is going to be for some people,
Yeah.
and it is going to fucking kill it with those people, and I am just not in that audience.
Yeah.
So I feel like people should give it a try, especially with how just kind of weird and creative it gets with some stuff. I feel like people should give it a shot. This is the type of thing that I want to see done more of. I want weird out there shit, and
Yeah.
I think with this being more of a vibe piece than anything, that may really strike a chord with a certain audience. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm out of Prosecco, which means this review is over.
yep.
So look forward to more TIFF reviews. We'll have, I think we have 5 more
Yeah, a few
TIFF
more.
movies that we're going to see.
Yep.
I'm excited for some of them. One of them we got by accident. You'll find out that when it comes. But yeah, so I want to score it because I feel bad if I don't.
Go
I know
for it.
that it's so hard to do it immediately.
I know. Yeah, that's one of the things. Fresh off this, I don't even know.
So gut is like 62, even though I want to give it a 69.
Hey,
But yeah, so I think
that's a pretty
62.
decent score. That's
Yeah.
a positive score. So
Slightly.
yeah.
Yeah.